Hello everyone, my name is Aaron, and I recently have felt led to share about encouraging the Christians, the saints, on what to do while they are suffering. And so if you're suffering really bad as a Christian, and apart from obvious sin, like obvious sin meaning like God is trying to pull out the sins in your life, trying to get your attention through suffering, not that. I'm talking about you're a Christian and you're suffering really bad for the sanctification for you that God is working in you. And if you can't think of any obvious sin, that's probably what it is in my opinion. So if you're in a position where there's no way out besides God needs to save you, or else there's no hope for you. I want to share with you some of the stuff that I recommend you think and believe and not do and do while you are suffering miserably. So first, you need to stay surrendered. So if you haven't already, I encourage you to watch a video I made on total surrender. It's an absolute necessity in being healed by God and for His purpose to be done through the suffering. Not in spite of it, because God gave you the suffering as a gift so that you can come to that total surrender and total trust in God. And the tricky thing about being totally surrendered to God is that it's not permanent, I don't think, for a human being while they're alive here on this earth. Sometimes you lose it, sometimes you take back control, and sometimes you're able to let go. And what you need to focus on is having a let go state. So everything you have in your life, hold on with a loose grip and be open to God doing whatever He wants with you in your life. So be totally surrendered and stay surrendered. And another thing I want to talk to you about is the things that you shouldn't do while you're suffering miserably. One recommendation is don't make big decisions while you're suffering really bad. You can make some big mistakes during that time. Your suffering will end, and you don't want to make rash decisions that you will regret later. So I would hold off on that. And watch out for legalism. It's so easy to fall into that trap while a Christian is suffering really bad. So meaning, don't think that you have to read a whole bunch of the Bible, a certain amount of pages every day, or pray a certain amount of time, do a bunch of good works, or recount all the sins you've ever made so you can repent. I believe that a lot of that are tricks and deceptions from the devil to bring you into a further anxiety and depression and fear. But instead, Psalms 46:10 says, "Be still and know that I am God." Be still and know that I am God. That's what we must always do, especially when you're suffering. Just be still, know that He's your good Father, and quietly trust in Him. I know that's really hard to do because we're wired to try to fix our problems, to do, and not just sit still. But God is saying, be still. I am God. I love you. Trust me. And that's what He is calling you to do, not just in your suffering state, but even once you're out of it. It's your whole life. I wish someone told me this when I went through my suffering, because sometimes I made a lot of prayers to God that was very honest and raw, and it didn't seem, it wasn't very holy feeling to me, and I felt a lot of guilt. And I realized later, it was through Tim Keller's, one of his sermons on, I don't know what it was about, but I want to share Psalm 88 with you as an example of how we can pray. If you notice that in Psalms, King David wrote a lot of them, but so did a lot of other people. And for the Psalms that start off with someone that's very depressed and fearful all around, it usually turns the tide within that same psalm to thanking God and praising God, and leaves on a positive note, but not with Psalm 88. A man named Heman wrote this psalm, and he was actually the grandson of Samuel the prophet, and he was actually known as very wise in the Bible, a very extremely wise person, because in 1 Kings 4:31 he was compared with King Solomon's wisdom. It says, "For he was wiser than all the other men, wiser than Ethan, the Ezrahite, and Heman. And so to compare against, King Solomon saying he's even wiser than Heman, Heman must have been very wise. And Heman was also King David's seer and basically the worship leader of the temple at that time. So he was a good man, and he wrote this psalm, and it is one of the darkest excerpts in the whole Bible, in my opinion. Some of the stuff, I'm going to quote it from there. I'm not going to read the whole chapter for time's sake. He said, I am counted among those who go down to the pit. I am a man without strength. And he's saying this in this psalm. He's saying, do those who are dead rise up and praise you? He's saying, God, if I die, how am I going to praise you? It's like saying, God, are you going to let me die? Because that's what it certainly seems like. And he says, but I cry to you for help. In the morning, my prayer comes before you. Why, O Lord, do you reject me and hide your face from me? Have you not felt this? Are you not going through this right now? You're saying, God, help me. Just like Heman, I cry to you for help. Why do you reject me? Why do you hide your face from me? I've been there so many times, through my hard time, and it was so frustrating. And instead of ending on a happy note, Psalm 88 ends with, the darkness is my closest friend. Meaning, the darkness is even a better friend than God. Well, why was this in the Bible? Because God wanted it to be in the Bible. He wanted us to know that we can pray like this. As long as we're praying to God and saying this to Him, He honors these prayers. So much so that it's in the Bible. So I want to encourage you through this to really let God know how you're feeling. Tell Him everything. Pray honestly. Be open. And by the way, biblical scholars say that Heman went on to write more positive things, so it looked like God rescued him. That's a little side note for us. So yeah, my main point is just totally be honest with God. And another thing is that, while you're suffering, know that God will heal you. I've been through this. I've talked a lot about why God is going to heal you, but I wanted to give you a real tangible example, from the Bible. And, you guys heard of Elijah, right? He was a great prophet. And he even he asked God to have fire come down against the Baal worshippers and burned up all of the sacrifice with water everywhere. This great Elijah, when Jezebel said that she was going to kill him, the Bible says he became afraid and he ran away. And so, he was very scared, and it seems like he went into a deep depression because he ran and ran. He left his servant, and he went another day. He went under a tree, and this is a quote from 1 Kings 19:4, where Elijah says, I have had enough, Lord. Take my life. How many of you are there right now or have been there? I've been there. I said, God, just take me now. I can't handle this. It's too much. And here the Lord is gracious enough to show us a great man like Elijah saying, I have had enough, Lord. Take my life. And what does God say in response? He could have easily said, oh, you have little faith. How can you say that? After I just showed you my power with the Baal worshippers. No, he didn't say any of that. He's so compassionate and loving. This is what we could expect from God. So after Elijah said that, he went to sleep. And then God sent an angel and said, get up and eat. And he had food ready for him and water. So Elijah got up and ate, and then he went back to sleep. And the second time, angel let him sleep more. And then the angel said, get up and eat, for the journey is too much for you. Man, how amazing is that? For the journey is too much for you. The Lord knows exactly what we need in order to succeed. His will is made perfect for us, and we can do it through Him. And so he knew what Elijah needed, and it was just some food, water, and rest. God will provide you your food, water, and rest. It might not be those three things, but he's going to give you exactly what you need to succeed. He's going to say, without my help, it's too much for you, and he's going to give you what you need. As a matter of fact, he's ministering to you right now. So be open, keep your eyes open, and be available to God. And he might use other people, or he might speak to you. It's just infinite amount of things he could do, and he's going to do it perfectly for what you need. So, I want to point out here, what did Elijah do in order to be ministered by God? What did he have to do? The answer is nothing. As a matter of fact, he went to sleep. You just have to be still. Quietly trust in God. He will save you. In his timing, he will give you exactly what you need every moment, even right now. Even though you might be suffering really bad. I realize, I look back, I suffered really bad. But God was always by my side. He never left me. And he's with you right now. If you're saved, he's with you right now. And he will never leave you. And, as we know, just put closure on that story, you guys probably know. Later, the Lord told Elijah to, do a few things. And one of them was to anoint Jehu as king of Israel. And later, Jehu kills Jezebel and eliminates Elijah's, problem there. God will take care of us. Okay, just be still and quietly trust in him. And this trial you're going through, it's for your good, as I've said so many times in my other videos. And I want you to know some of the main points, of your trial. And it is basically Isaiah 46:4 is one of the main points. It says, "Even to your old age I am he, and to gray hairs I will carry you. I have made and I will bear, I will carry and will save." He made you from birth, and here it says even to gray hairs, to the grave, he will carry you, and beyond the grave. But here I want to focus on this life. He says, even to gray hairs, I will carry you. What is there to do when you're being carried but just to be held by him? That is your job, not only in this trial, but your whole life. Your job is just to be held by our loving Father. He says right here, I made you. I'm going to bear you. I'm going to carry you, and I will save you. Understand this now in your suffering, and you will understand it outside of your suffering for the rest of your life. And this cannot be understood unless you are brought to the point, the end of yourself, where you have to believe this, or you have no hope. So it is a blessing, as I always say, what you're going through. And think about this. God holding us, how true is that? 1 Thessalonians 5:23 says, "May God himself, the God of peace, sanctify you through and through." He's doing everything from beginning to end. He's the one sanctifying. It says, God himself sanctify you, not you sanctify you through any Bible reading, sacrifices, anything that you do, evangelism. No, it says that God is the one who sanctifies you, and that's what he's doing to you right now. You're going through the fire, and that is God sanctifying you by his will, his power, his wisdom, and his ways. And he is actually carrying you through it. You don't need to worry. That's the secret of getting through this thing, is that you can see the end of the tunnel. That there is a way out that God has engineered for you. Psalm 34:19, he's going to rescue us from all our afflictions. And the last truth that I want to share is Romans chapter 5:3 verse 4. Suffering produces perseverance. Perseverance, character, and character, hope. What is the thing that you need most? A person that's being depressed, anxious, They need hope. And that's the very thing that you need, but suffering is what will produce that hope. And so your suffering as a child of God is evidence of the hope that will come. That's what God said, and it will come to pass as long as you trust in Him. Don't give up, saint. Trust in God. Okay, so this will end in hope, and stay strong. This is how you endure through the suffering. You stand on the word, the truth. God bless you.